Um, People are running around saying you don't have to read things to learn things. Well, you have to read things. Everything doesn't just come to you. I don't know what the hell. Certain things do. Knowing is within us, yet you do have to do your research. You can't just sit and think everything's going to come to you. You know, there are three faults found in man: unbelief in God, lack of endeavor, and ungood or untrustworthy. All three are manifest in man, in the human. Anu's consort in the earliest Sumerian texts is the goddess Iris, but she is later the goddess Ki, and in Akkadian texts, the goddess Antu, whose name is the feminine form of Anu. Anu briefly appears in the Akkadian epic of Gilgamesh, in which his daughter Ishtar, the East Semitic equivalent to Inanna, persuades him to give her the bowl of heaven, so that she may send it to attack Gilgamesh. See, this is the whole story, just like the Genesis story. But Tesheb overthrew Kamarbi, avenged Anu's mutilation, and became the new king of gods. Check this out. Oranos, meaning sky or heaven, was the primal Greek god personifying the sky, and one of the Greek primordial deities. Uranus is associated with Roman god Caelus. Ancient Greek literature, Uranus, father sky, was the son and husband of Gaia. The son and husband. Mother Earth, according to Hesiod's theogony, Uranus was conceived by Gaia alone, but other sources cite Ether as his father. There's the word aether, or ether, the way I remember it being spelt. That's why they took the A out of ether. Parents of the first generation of Titans, and the ancestors of most of the Greek gods, but no cult addressed directly to Uranus survived into classical times. And Uranus does not appear among the usual themes of Greek painted pottery. Elemental earth, sky, and Styx might be joined. However, in a solemn invocation in Homeric epic. Uranus, primordial god of sky. AION, Uranus with Terra, Greek Gaia and Mosaic. Okay. Ether, pronounced Aether, is one of the primordial deities. Ether is a personification of the upper sky. He embodies the pure upper air that the gods breathe, as opposed to the normal air breathed by mortals. Like Tartarus and Erebus, Ether may have had shrines in ancient Greece, but he had no temples and is unlikely to have had a cult. See, everything is personified. The ether is the microwave background, is the unmanifest waters, chaos. Okay, so here we'll skip ahead to chaos. Chaos was the first thing to exist. At first, chaos came to be, or was. But next, possibly out of chaos, came Gaia, Tartarus, and Eris. Elsewhere, the son of Aphrodite. Unambiguously born from chaos were Erebus and Nyx. For Hesiod, chaos, like Tartarus, though personified enough to have borne children, was also a place far away, underground, and gloomy, beyond which lived the Titans. And like the earth, the ocean, and the upper air, it was also capable of being affected by Zeus, thunderbolts. Passages in Hesiod's theogony suggest that chaos was located below Earth but above Tartarus. Primal chaos was sometimes said to be the true foundation of reality, particularly by philosophers such as Heraclitus. The notion of the temporal infinity was familiar to the Greek mind from remote antiquity in the religious conception of immortality. This idea of the divine as an origin influenced the first Greek philosophers. The main object of the first efforts to obtain the world remained the description of its growth. From a beginning, they believed that the world arose from primal unity, and that this substance was the permanent base of all its being. Anaximander claims that the origin is apeiron, the unlimited, a divine and perpetual substance, less definite than the common elements. Everything is generated from apeiron, or it's the waters of noon from ancient Egypt's theogony, and must return there according to necessity. A conception of the nature of the world was that the earth below its surface stretches down infinitely and has its roots on or above Tartarus, the lower part of the underworld. In a phrase, the upper limit of the earth borders on air near our feet. The lower limit reaches down to the apeiron. The sources and limits of the earth, the sea, the sky, Tartarus, and all things are located in a great windy gap, which seems to be infinite, and is later specification of chaos. At the beginning, there was only chaos, night, dark, Erebus, and deep Tartarus. Earth, air, heaven had no existence. Firstly, black-winged night laid a germless egg in a bosom of infinite deeps of Erebus. And from this, after the revolution of long ages, sprang the graceful Eros with his glittering golden wings. Swift as the whirlwinds of the tempest, he mated in deep Tartarus with dark chaos, winged like himself, and thus hatched forth our race, which was the first to see the light. That of the immortals did not exist until Eros had brought together all the ingredients of the world, and from their marriage, heaven, ocean, earth, and the imperishable race of blessed gods sprang into being. Thus our origin is very much older than that of the dwellers in Olympus. We, birds, are the offspring of Eros. There are 1,000 proofs to show it. We have wings and we lend assistance to lovers. How many handsome youths who had sworn to remain insensible have opened their thighs because of the power we have yielded themselves to their lovers when almost at the end of their youth, being led away by the gift of a quail, a waterfowl, a goose, or a cock. Chaos has been linked with the term abyss of Genesis 1:2. The term may refer to a state of non-being prior to creation, or to a formless state. In the book of Genesis, the Spirit of God is moving upon the face of the waters, displacing the earlier state of the universe, which is likened to a watery chaos, upon which there is choshchek, which translated from the Hebrew is darkness and confusion. Isn't that how all humans are walking around right now? In the dark and confused. In the primordial, chaotic waters, In modern biblical studies, the term chaos is commonly used in the context of the Torah and their cognate narratives in the ancient Near Eastern mythology. More generally, parallels between the Hebrew Genesis and Babylonian Enuma Elish were established by Hermann Gunkel in 1910. Besides Genesis, other books of the Old Testament, especially a number of Psalms, some passages in Isaiah and Jeremiah, and the book of Job are relevant. 33, 34, and 35. The term chaos has been adopted in modern comparative mythology and religious studies as referring to the primordial state before creation, strictly combining two separate notions of primordial waters or a primordial darkness from which a new order emerges, and a primordial state as merging of opposites, such as heaven and earth, which must be separated by a creator deity in an act of cosmogony. That is the light. In both cases, chaos referring to a notion of a primordial state contains the cosmos in potentia, but needs to be formed by a demiurge before the world can begin its existence. The demiurge, Lucifer, the demiurge, is also the Redeemer, Jesus, when we see the light again. Use of chaos is in the derived sense of complete disorder or confusion first appears in Elizabethan early modern English, originally implying satirical exaggeration. Chaos in the well-defined sense of chaotic complex system is in turn derived from this usage. We'll look at Tiamat. Tiamat, disambiguation. In the religion of ancient Babylon, Tiamat is a primordial goddess of the salt sea, mating with Abzu, the god of fresh water. So that is the to produce younger gods. She is the symbol and chaos of primordial creation. So it's just like the waters of noon, and the abyss. She is referred to as a woman and is described as a glistening one. It is suggested that there are two parts to Tiamat mythos. The first, in which Tiamat is a creator goddess through a sacred marriage between salt and fresh water, peacefully creating the cosmos through successive generations. And the second, Tiamat is considered a monstrous embodiment of primordial chaos. Some sources identify her with images of a sea serpent or dragon. In the Anuba Elish, the Babylonian epic of creation, she gives birth to the first generation of deities. Her husband Apsu, correctly assuming they are planning to kill him and usurp his throne, later makes war upon them and is killed. Enraged, she too wars upon her husband's murderers, taking on the form of a massive sea dragon. She is then slayed by Enki's son, the storm god Marduk, but not before she had brought forth the monsters of the Mesopotamian pantheon, including the first dragons, whose bodies she filled with poison instead of blood. Marduk then forms the heavens and the earth from her divided body. Do you get it? Okay, Abzu, fathered upon Tiamat, the elders' deities Lamu and Lahamu, the gatekeepers. Enki's Abzu, Lamu, in turn, were the parents in the ends of the heavens. The parents of Anu, heaven, and Ki, earth. Anshar and Kishar were considered to meet at the horizon, becoming hereby the parents of Anu, heaven, and Ki, earth. In the myth recorded in cuneiform tablets, the deity Enki believed correctly that Absu was planning to murder the younger deities. Upset with the noisy tumult they created, and so captured him and held him prisoner beneath his temple, the Abzu temple of Abzu. This angered Kingu, their son, who reported the event to Tiamat. Do you see the underlying thing? It's the same story over and over and over. You know what I mean? The tablet, Tiamat possessed the tablet of destinies, and in the primordial battle she gave them to Kingu, the deity she had chosen as her lover and the leader of her host, and who was also one of her children. See, the same as the Gaia being the husband and the son of Tiamat, or of the first myth I said. It's the same thing, because we produce the light within us via divine conception with our true self, God. Okay? It's the same. That's why we can be the father and the husband. You understand? The deity she had chosen as her lover and the leader of her host. The lover and the leader of her host, and who was also one of her children. The deities gathered in terror, but Anu, first extracting a promise that he would be revered as king of gods, overcame her, armed with the arrows of the winds. That's the four trumpet-looking things on the dinger. A net, a club, and an invincible spear. Anu was later replaced by Enlil, and in the late version was survived by the first dynasty of Babylon by Marduk, the son of Ea. And the Lord stood upon Tiamat's hinder parts, and with his merciless club he smashed her skull. He cut through the channels of her blood, and he made the north wind bear it away into secret places. Oh, and I wanted to point this out right here. Ether in battle with the lion-headed giant. Lion-headed? Which weird thing happened here. AION. AION ties nicely into what I've been showing you on the 1/13/2020. AION is a Hellenistic deity associated with time, the orb or circle encompassing the universe and the zodiac. The time represented by AION is unbounded, in contrast to Chronos, as empirical time divided into past, present, and future. He is thus a god of the ages, associated with mystery religions concerned with the afterlife, such as the mysteries of Sibyl, Dionysus, Orpheus, and Mithras. In Latin, the concept of deity may appear as Avum or Seclum. He is typically in the company of an earth or mother goddess, such as Tellus Sibyl, as on the Parabajo plate. Ion or Aeon, member of the primordial gods. Aeon is usually identified as a nude or semi-nude young man with a circle representing the zodiac or eternal and cyclical time. Examples include two Roman mosaics from Sentinum, whatever it is, and Hippo Regius in Roman Africa. Dionysica Nonus associated Aeon with the Hore and says that he changes the burden of old age like a snake who sloughs off the coils of the useless old scales, rejuvenizing while washing it in the swells of the laws of time. Now pay attention to this. See this? The angle? The two keys to heaven, the lion head, the snake twined around it. Hoop or wheel through the Ouroboros, a ring formed by a snake holding the tip of its tail in its mouth. Okay, now watch it. Okay, this is going on for a while, so I just wanted to read this. Figure is entirely nude, the body being entwined 6 times by a serpent, the head of which rests on the skull of the god. 4 wings decorated with the symbols of the seasons form the back. Each hand holds a key, and in the right is in addition a long scepter, the symbol of authority. A thunderbolt is engraved on the breast. On the base of the statue may be seen the hammer and toeings of Vulcan, the cock and the pine cone consecrated to Asclepius, or possibly to the sun and the atom, and the wand of Mercury, all characteristic adjuncts of the Mithric Saturn, and symbol the embodiment in him of the powers of all the gods. Okay, now look at the image. Here, we'll go to another one. Right here. Okay, lion-headed, standing on the symbol for Earth, which is the cross and the circle. Now watch this. Okay. Here's the cosmic representation of AION. And some people like to say you don't want to look at outside of yourself. I say that most of the time, but salvation is found within. But the road that leads you there may be without, if you follow me on that. But check this out. I'm going to change the color here. Got us a cross, a circle, and look at where Jupiter is. Okay? Now, AION was venerated as a lion head, a snake entwining it, whatever. But Jupiter is the sickle, right? Because here's the cross, which is Pluto is Hades, the afterlife. Earth is the physical, the here and now, the relative. Polar opposites right there. Okay? Venus, female, Mars, male. But I wanted to point out that this is representation of the mythic god AION as well. And this is going to take place 1/13/2020. 1/13/2020. Hindsight's 2020. Okay? And the reason why I think we're in a black hole is because, look, everything's on an ecliptic plane. We are in the inside looking out. Looks like an atom. That's what the AION is an ultimate atom. Everything is just self-replicating, regenerating thing. Everything is. We're a black hole within a black hole within a black hole within a black hole. Sure, creation is an automatic loop, cyclical, yes, but you have the opportunity to rise above that. That's what I think this is showing us. The 1 and the 13 is the alpha, the omega, the beginning and the end. For every end, there's a beginning. For every beginning, there's an end. For every sunrise, there's a sunset. Our sunrise is somebody else's sunset. You get it? The 12 and the 1. There's 12 hours a day. There's 12 hours a night on the equator at the equinoxes. Even days, even nights. Okay? It's all right here in front of us, folks. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. I'm going to tell you, I love you. Peace.